Hey guys, welcome back to day 25 out of 30. My name is Adam, and today we are continuing with what we were speaking about in yesterday's video. So this is like a part two. Uh, yeah, the rebalancing of the divine masculine and divine feminine energies. If you haven't watched yesterday's video, I would recommend go and watch it. It serves as like context as to what we're speaking about today, what we're elaborating on. Just for a very quick summary, I basically expressed kind of what the divine masculine, what the divine feminine are, the importance of the balancing of the two of them for us as spiritual beings, and how if they're not balanced, if these energies are not balanced, they really affect all of our energy centers, our chakras, and they have a kind of knock-on effect to our whole inner world, the way we feel, think, and act. In turn, our whole outer world as well. So it's quite an important, or in my opinion, it's quite an important topic. So yeah, I spoke at the end of yesterday's video about a technique that I used that really helped me kind of heal some of this energy, and it's something that I still use. And the concept was becoming your own parent. So we're gonna start here first of all. So when we look at the imbalance with the divine masculine and divine feminine, it kind of always stems from our parents, or the lack thereof parents. And if there's no parents there, it will come from your environment, the culture you find yourself in. As certain cultures and subcultures are more polarized towards masculinity in a wounded way, and some are more polarized to femininity in a wounded way as well. So we are reflections of either our parents, and if there are no parents, the culture we find ourselves in. This is the kind of vibe we're dealing with. When we look at the relationship we hold with our parents, with our mother and father, or the relationship we don't hold with them in some cases, we actually are seeing our relationship with the divine feminine and with the divine masculine. The relationship I hold with my mother is a reflection of the relationship I hold to the divine feminine energy within myself. The relationship I hold with my father is a relationship I hold with the divine masculine within myself. And this is because in ancient times, where human beings were more connected to nature, and they were kind of more connected to the sort of traditional structures of these energies, our mother and father would have been our literal representations of divine femininity and divine masculinity. It's the first thing we incarnate into this world, and we have two guides, not four, two guides. We have two guides: our parents, our mother, our father. They would have been in ancient times. They would have been reflections of divinity. Those two beings coming together, and so you would have grown up, because we're products of our environment. If you get taught one thing your whole life, you're going to believe that one thing until you see resounding evidence that it's not true. So we are products of our environment. And if you are growing up with healthy or unhealthy masculine and feminine energies, it's what you will pick up on. It's what you will perceive as normal. That's why, people talk about this sort of mommy and daddy issues. That's very much a real thing. That's, if you've had a wounded relationship with your father or your mother, that wound creates behaviors. It creates an imbalance of energy, and that imbalanced energy manifests itself as certain behaviors. So the relationship we hold with our mother and our father really do hold a lot of information for us to delve into. I'm gonna give this as an example of myself. So I've mentioned, my father hasn't been present in my life, and although I know his face, I've seen him before. There was no father there throughout my growing up, throughout my years of being alive. There's been no father. Um, so my mother has had the role of a single mother, and because of that, she had to sort of she was everything. She was both of those energies wrapped into one. But we can't do that, right? As humans, it doesn't work like that. My mother tried her best, but because she had to encompass all of those two roles, she had to do all of those things. It basically meant both were lacking. So she was a beautiful mother, a mother I chose her for a reason, but but you know, she found herself having a wounded feminine because she was also trying to take the role of some sort of masculine energy. And as she was trying to do that, it's like you can't actually fully go into your divine feminine. You actually can't fully be in the divine mother. You can't be in that role if you're all of a sudden trying to do this other stuff. You're trying to make sure there's a roof over the children's head. You're trying to make sure there's food, there's this, bills are paid, etc. So as I grew up, my mother had elements of divine femininity within her, but there was very much a wounded aspect as well. And so that wounded aspect of the feminine energy came onto me. And that looked like, in my world, insecurity, unsafety. It manifested itself in lots of different things. And that wounded femininity also attributed to the wounded masculine. My mother was strict. There was a sense of something was being enforced, but it all came from fear. It all came from this lacking thing. When my mother was strict, it was like she's a woman and she has to control. She has to control this. That's another term for the wounded feminine, is control. Wounded feminine energy is controlling. That's something else I've also had deeply within my life, is controlling, insecurity, these types of vibes. And that comes from the wounded feminine that I had to deal with. And still deal with. Sorry, let me just add, and still deal with. This is a healing process we're all undergoing. And I go over to the side of the masculine. Well, there was no masculine there, and it manifested itself in me and my sister not having stability, not having the grounding, reassurance and safety that a divine masculine presence brings to a family unit. And that in itself, manifested many different behaviors within me from the imbalance of that energy. I say all of this because a few months ago, I was on Instagram and I saw a video of a father and his son, and they were doing sparring together, doing boxing sparring, and the father had the pads on and the son was boxing. The son was maybe 7 or 8 years old or something like that. As the father was doing this and he threw a hook for the son to dodge, his son would, before he even did it, would flinch. And this father, he basically stopped, and the way he spoke to his son was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And he basically said to his son, he was like, "Son, why are you flinching? There's no need to be afraid. Nothing's even happened yet. You're expecting something." It was like something along those lines. Something along those lines. The vibration in which this father passed on to his son was quite profound to see this video and see how that simple reassurance, that simple stability and groundingness from that divine masculine presence. I don't know if that man is divine, holds divine masculine energy, but in that moment he very much did. He very much held an energy that fully transformed his young son. And you saw immediately how this son like shook whatever that was, that fear, he kind of shook it off. And that boy was ready. And that boy was empowered in that moment. And I watched this video and I went, oh my, this is what fathers are supposed to do. This is what a fatherly, divine masculine energy does for us. And this is not just for young men, this is also for young women as well. To have that foundation is very crucial. To have that strong foundation is very crucial. And so I watched that video, it planted a seed in my head, and I just, it was inspiring, it was whatever. And I just continue on with my life and doing what I'm doing. And I remember maybe a week later, I found anxiety like coming into my being. I was scared about something. Fear had taken over me. And I just remember saying to myself, I was like, son, there's no need to be afraid. You're afraid before something's even happened. Like kind of repeating the same message that this father had said to his son. And it was very like, it was very comforting. I became my own father in that moment. And I realized all of the imbalance that would have been present within my childhood, I could fix by becoming my own divine father and my own divine mother. And that is kind of the premise of this video. If you feel like there was an imbalance, within your within the energies of your mother or father, or not having a father or not having a mother present, we can reclaim power by becoming the imbalanced energy we see. We can become it, but the divine balanced version of it. From that point when I did that, it's like all I did. Every single time fear would come up, I became my own father. I stepped into fatherhood somehow by being my own dad. And there's also something symbolic about stepping into fatherhood, stepping into motherhood, that actually attunes you, from what I got anyway, it tunes you deeper into that role. You actually just embody that divinity even further. A few friends of mine are stepping into or have been fathers, and they've kind of mirrored this message to me. Fatherhood really amplifies the divinity that if it's your intention to be a divine balanced being, it will help you to encompass that divinity. The same with motherhood. And it's odd, it's like by us taking that role energetically, obviously we might not actually have children, but by us taking the responsibility and ownership of our inner child, because that's actually what we're working with here, we're becoming our own parent to our inner child. By us embodying that role, a big transmutation occurs in our energy. And so yeah, I just want to express again like what this actually looked like in a very real world like situation. So I would be doing something, I'd be walking, I'd be out, I'd be in a social situation. Anytime fear manifested itself, I would mentally or out loud, I would just speak to myself. I would speak to my inner child, because that's where all of this fear has come from. It's come from my inner child. It's come from not feeling good enough. It's come from all of the things my inner child missed, it's come from that. And all of these fears, thoughts, behavioral quirks are just manifested from that inner child's wounds. So now let me be the divine father / mother that maybe I didn't have. So fear would become present, and I just speak to myself. I'd say, son, you are strong, you are worthy, you are good enough, you are powerful, you are a powerful king. Like, all of these ideas, that I think I'm saying a lot about the divine masculine in these videos just because it's just what's resonated with me and it's just what I've gone through. So to the women out here watching, I hope you're still grasping the essence of this. Like, this is still fully the same thing on the other end of the spectrum. But yeah, like, these ideas about being good enough, about what, like, I am what I am and I've been good enough, is a very, like, fatherly thing to reinforce, to, like, be that energy of, like, my daughter, my son, you are good enough, you are safe. Comes back down to safety. I said yesterday's video, the root chakra is a divinely masculine polarized thing. It's like, there's just so much about the safety and of being able to be what you are, knowing that you, as a young girl, young boy, you are safe. There's nothing more you need to do or nothing more you need to be. As far as I'm concerned, and from what I've seen, just my observations of life, even all of us, even if there's people that do have a mother and a father present in their life, well, we already know, like, this whole society we live in is wounded, and our parents are wounded. Our parents have been living in unconsciousness, right? So even if we have those energies present, I still believe that we all kind of need to do this on varying scales. For some of us it might be much more, for some of us it might not be as much. But yeah, becoming our own parent. I became my own father, and it seemed for me to just allow my inner child, to allow young Adam to heal. I made up for what I didn't have. And you can do the same too. You can be your own mother. You can be your own father. And by us doing this, we rebalance our core. We rebalance those first 7 years. We rewrite the script. And if I just need to say it again, you rebalance your energy, you rebalance your emotions, you rebalance your thoughts, your actions. All of a sudden, we find ourselves in a position where we can create and navigate our own realities with so much more fluidity, ease, and magic. So yeah, guys, I hope, as always, something in this has resonated. I hope something in this has been useful. Like I said, I kind of spoke more, or used the divine masculine more as the example in this, obviously just because it's what I've had to go through. But there's an essence in it, in what I've said today, that can be translated into however it makes sense for you, however your upbringing was, whatever the dynamic was, in whatever way. I think there's an essence still in this message that can be taken and translated to make sense. And for you as an individual, whatever it looks like for you, yeah. My family, thank you as always for being here. I'm sending you all the peace, all the love, And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon.